Very good morning to all of the students. So today we start with the study of power transmission elements as far as the mechanical power transmission is concerned. Now you will have a problem or you will face a problem. What do you mean by power transmission elements? So look at the slides. You will see the prime mover, then power transmission element, and then machines and its appliances. So what do you mean by prime mover? Prime mover means what? It is the component which will provide the input energy or input motion to the system. It may be rotary, it may be reciprocating. Now what do you mean by rotary? Rotary means either it may be the electric motors or steam or gas turbines, or it may be a solar powered motors, DC motors, AC motors, all rotary motors. And in case of reciprocating, it may be the IC engine or it may be the steam engines which will provide the output input as a reciprocating input. And the third component is the machine or appliances. So any kind of machines or automobiles, that is a machines or appliances, it means that from which we can take the output. Okay, so I have to transmit the power from prime mover to the machine at rated power condition and at rated RPM. It means that the application may run at lower RPM or higher RPM than the prime mover. So that conversion is created by means of a power transmission elements. Okay, so there is a mention hydraulic, pneumatic, and a mechanical. So hydraulic power transmission or hydraulic motion transmission, pneumatic motion transmission, power transmission, already we have seen it. So now we start with the mechanical power. So look at the screen, mechanical power transmission elements. So I have shown some figures: gears, belt drives, chain drives, clutches. Okay, you know all about it, but now why to study? Now each and every component from all this we have to design it throughout the syllabus of the machine design too. So basically initially just look at it. Gears. Okay, what you can see it. First is rotary, that is the input gear, transmit the power to the intermediate gear, and intermediate gear transmit the power to the output. Okay, but now here the two teeths are meshed. It means that the both gears are meshed by means of a teeth. Okay, it means that there is chances of slippage or loss in a loss in RPM ratio is very less, or it was nullified. Hence such kind of drives are called as a positive drives, because there will not be any velocity loss or transmission ratio loss. Same is the case in case of a chain drives. As you can see, it is again sprocketed chain. It is wound about the sprockets, hence the velocity ratio losses or velocity losses chances are very less, or it will be zero. Hence we can call it as a positive drives. But if you see in case of a belt drives or in case of a clutches, power is transmitted by means of a frictional force or frictional torque generated by the two mating surfaces. So there may be a chances of slipping between the two surfaces if there is a frictional surface loss, or if there is a chances of overloading, there may be a chances of losses. It means that the output RPM may not be fixed. It may be depend upon the tension between the tight side and the slack side, then overall axial force in case of a clutches. Hence such kind of drives are called as a non-positive drives or friction drives. Non-positive drives or friction drives, it may has a loss by 2% 3%, that is due to the loss in case of friction or by means of a slip and creep. Now we have to start with a comparison between the different power transmission elements. So conditions, first one, basic type, already we have discussed. Flat belt, V belt are the friction drives, and chain drives, gear drives are the positive drives. Then the shafting condition. So there may be a shafting condition, means what? Two shafts, that is input and output. Two shafts are there. They are coupled by means of our power transmission elements. So those shafts may be parallel to each other, may be intersecting to each other, or may be non-parallel, non-intersecting condition, that is called as skew shafting conditions. So in case with the help of flat belt, I can transmit the power between the two parallel shaft, two intersecting shaft, or skew shafting also. Okay, parallel shafting, no doubt we can transmit the power, but for skew shafting or intersecting shafting by means of a belt, we have to obey law of belting, otherwise belt will get fade out from the system. Then the V-belt drives. V-belt drives can be used only in case of a parallel condition, only in case of a parallel shifting conditions. Similarly, chain drives can be used in case of only in parallel shifting conditions. But gears, yes, gears are used in all conditions, means parallel, intersecting, skew, whatever, all kinds of conditions can be transmitted power by means of a gears. Okay. Now, yes, comes about the size. Yes, it's a first two drives are the friction drives. So for the creation of frictions, we have to provide the larger area. So to the larger area, the size will be higher. So out of four, flat belt has the largest size because it has a big size pulley, big size input pulley, big size output pulley. Then the length of pulley depends upon the power transmission. So size is highest or largest in case of a flat belt, and medium in case of a V belt, because we are providing the V notch or groove, and which will increase the power transmission capacity. Chain drives, again, it has a medium size because we have to provide the sprocketed sharp sprockets, then hub and other things. So it's a medium, and most compact is the gears. Okay. Now velocity ratio, due to the friction, due to the limitation on the friction drives, because it will transmit the power due to the friction, so there is a velocity ratios are limited up to 5 for flat belt, up to 8 for V belt, up to 8 for chain drives, and up to or less than 5 we can go for the gears. For first three gears, we'll discuss about the spur gear, helical gear, and the bevel gear. We can transmit it up to 5 in a single stage, or up to 6 maximum. But yes, the exception is worm and worm drives. We can transmit it the power with the reduction ratio up to 400, but practically up to 125 we have used it. Then we come over the next, shock absorbing capacity. Shock absorption capacity is maximum in case of a flexible drive, so it's a maximum in case of a V belt, medium in case of a flat belt, medium in case of a chain drives, and very least in case of a gears. Then elastic creep. Yes, elasticity is not present in case of a gears. It's a solid material, so it won't present over there. But elastic creep more present in case of a V belt because it has a change in shape. It means that its cross section is not a square, not a circle. It has another shape. Hence, it has larger amount of creep. Okay. Then the speed limitations. Yes, gears can be used for the high speed applications. Chain drives can be used for the low and medium speed applications. Flat belt can be used for the medium speed applications, and V belt drives also can be used for low to medium speed. It cannot be used for the high speed because its cross section is not constant throughout. Then the misalignment. So small misalignment creates lot of problem, or it will damage the entire system in case of a chain drives or in case of a gears. It means that small misalignments cannot be affordable in case of chain and gear drives, but that is possible. Yes, that can be affordable, or that can be acceptable. Small misalignment can be acceptable in case of a flat belt, but in case of a V belt drives, because it's a flexible drives. Then safety against the overload is present in case of a flat belt, V belt. In case of chains and gears, it won't present. What I mean to say, suppose your system is designed for 5 kilowatt and you are transmitting the power up to 8 kilowatts, let it be 8 kilowatts. Then what happens? Due to the friction, its friction, that is frictional force between the belt and the pulley, won't transmit that much amount of 8 kilowatt power. So if you increase the power beyond the 5 kilowatts, or for say let it be 6 kilowatts, it will start slipping. It won't break, it will start slipping. Okay, it will slip. So safety against overload is possible in case of a flat belt and V belt, but in case of chain drives, gear drives, it will break entire system. Okay, so it won't present in case of a chain drives and the gears. Now next one, central distance. Flat belt drives can be used for up to 10 meters in a single stage. V belt up to 3 meters in a single stage. Chain drives up to 3 meters in a single stage, and gears is most compact, so it can transmit up to 1 meter, or maximum up to 1 meter distance we can say. because the bigger size gears, it will create the inertia effect, it will create the loss of power. So for smaller distance or compact size, we have to go for the gears. For larger distances, we have to go for a flat bed or a V bed or chain drives. Again, chain drives are not suitable. We have to go for either flat bed or the V bed drives. So life, again, which is compact, which has a highest efficiency, it is the gears. So gears has a maximum life and a least life is V bed. Okay. Then the temperature stability. Yes, again, it has a flat bed, V bed, it has a low, and chain drives, gear drives has a high temperature. Now shafting conditions. So parallel shafting, intersecting shafting, non-parallel and non-intersecting shafting as shown in a figure. Already we have discussed it. Now we start with the gears. So what do you mean by gears? Gears are nothing but the two rolling discs, okay, which are rolled about it. So if we transmit or if we convert this rolling disc in case of a tooth wheel, that is called as a gears, nothing but. And as per the Indian history or as per mythological stories, it is found that about 12,000 years old also the gears are used as shown in figure. That is a primitive gears made up of woods, and now it is converted or now it is shifted to the tooth gears or machine tooth gears. Okay, classification of gears. So spur gears, helical gears, herringbone gears. Again, helical gears, there are special condition is herringbone gears. Then bevel gears, straight bevel gears, spiral bevel gears, worm and wormwheel, and a special arrangement like a rack and pinion and internal and external gearing. So we see one by one. First one, you will see the spur gear as shown. Second one is the helical gears. What is the difference between a spur and helical gear? You can see in case of a spur gear, teeth are cut parallel to the axis of the shaft, whereas those teeth are having certain angle with the axis of shaft in case of the helical gears. So what is the advantage? In case of what is the advantage, we will see it further. First of all, see what is the difference. Then spiral bevel gears, and next one is the spur bevel gears or straight bevel gears. Now what do you mean by straight bevel gears? See, bevel gears are nothing but the frustum of cone. Okay, and in case of straight bevel gears, what happens? Teeth are cut along the generators as shown in a figure, and in case of spiral bevel gears, teeth are having certain angle, okay, that is called as spiral angle with the generators. Now next one, worm and wormwheel. As you see in a figure, that is worm and wormwheel. Okay, worm and wormwheel, the two shafts are not intersecting but not parallel. So those two shafts are in different planes. Okay, so we have to transmit the power from two such kind of shafting conditions by means of a worm and wormwheel. In case of worm is the input, wormwheel is the output. So worm is the input. In case of it is in a state of threaded shaft. Okay, now special arrangement is this one, rack and pinion arrangement. Rack and pinion arrangement can be used to convert the rotary motion of the pinion into the translatory or sorry reciprocating motion of the rack, as you seen over here. Such kind of arrangement is used in generally olden days. It can be used for the steering gear mechanisms. Okay, the next one are the sun and planet gears. There are some internal gearing as well as external gearing which will use to control on the output shaft or RPM on the output shaft. Okay, now next one, to start with the specification of the gears. So start with the spur gears. Spur gears have a teeth parallel to the axis of the shaft. As shown in a figure, we can say that teeth are cut along the parallel to the axis of the shaft. Okay, it can be used for transmitting the power between the two parallel shafts. Yes, it can be used for the transmit the power between the two parallel shafts only. They are simple in construction because teeth are cut in parallel. Okay, so manufacturing cost is less, widely used in most of the applications because its fabrication cost is lesser or manufacturing cost is lesser. But what is the drawback? Yes, the teeth are cut parallel to the axis of the shaft. Then as shown in the figure, you can see that teeth are parallel, it means that there is a sudden line contact. There is a sudden line contact which will improve, which will impart the vibration in the system, and it will reduce the efficiency of the system. So this is the major drawback. But there are only two forces are acting along the tangential direction and along the radial direction. There will not be any force along the axial direction as shown. Remedy for this is a helical gear. So tooths are cut along the having certain angle with the axis of the shaft, that is called as a helical gears, and that angle is called as a helix angle. Okay. Now what happens, as you are increasing this helix, it will create the axial force, it will impart the axial force in the system. That is one drawback of the one drawback of the helical gears. But what is the advantage? Due to this helical, suppose one RH gears, one right-handed and one left-handed, two gears are meeting with each other, then what happens? Your point of contact, your mating start with the point of contact and ending with the line contact. It means that there will not be any sudden contact. There is a gradual contact from point contact to the line contact. It means that the vibration creation is lesser, so efficiency is higher. Hence, for high speed application or high speed side, we have to go for the helical gears. The herringbone gears. What is the drawback of the helical gears? It will impart one axial force or components of axial force along the axis of the shaft. So what we did it, we have to adjust, or we have to attach two gears, one left-handed, one right-handed on one shaft, or we are fabricating a gear which has a combination of left hand as well as right hand threading, or left hand as well as right hand condition. Okay, so due to this, what happens? Due to this, it will create the two axial components which will nullify each other, and axially shaft is stable. That is called as a herringbone gears. But as far as the fabrication or cost is concerned, it has a high fabrication cost, but we can say that its applications are limited. It's not widely used. Okay, so for specific conditions it can be used. Then next one, bevel gears. Bevel gears are nothing but a frustum of cone, and teeth are cut along the generators. So if the teeth are cut along the generators, it is called as a straight bevel gears, and if teeth are cut having certain angle with the generators, it's called as a spiral bevel gears. Okay, so those gears are nothing but the frustum of cones, such that the axis cuts the axis, act as a shaft axis, and they have the common apex. According to orientation, teeth have the following two basic types. Already we have discussed it. So what is the advantage? Yes, in case of spiral bevel gears, there is a gradual point of contact from point contact to line contact, hence it can be used for the high speed side. And in case of straight bevel gears, sometimes such kind of bevel gears are called as a spur bevel gears also, because there is a sudden line contact. Next one, worm and wormbill. Now see in a figure, this is one axis, this is another axis. Those two axes are not parallel to each other, but not intersecting with each other, because those two shafts are on two different planes. So such kind of condition is called as a skew shaft or skew shafting conditions. So we can transmit the such kind of conditions by means of a worm and wormbill. The major advantage, or we can say that first of all, what is worm? Worm nothing but the input shaft, or it's a threaded shaft, and output is nothing but the gear. Basically it's a helical gear. Okay, so we can transmit the power from this shaft to this gears by means of worm and wormbill. Okay, but the major disadvantage, yes, advantage is that it has a higher reduction ratio per stage, that is up to 400 can be possible with a single stage. But the disadvantage that its efficiency is dropped down up to 40% if you go for higher reduction side. Okay,